how the two agencies will look at that proposed deal?
So you asked probably the only question I can answer.
I wanted to try to achieve that.
Because I can't. It's a pending transaction, and I can't talk about specific reviews. But the Justice Department is charged with enforcing the antitrust laws. We have the responsibility of determining that transactions that trigger FCC review are in the public interest. That's the language of the statute.
And so the way that's been paraphrased to me or interpreted to me is that the FCC can look at behavioral issues, how the technology is used, how consumers use the technology, if or use the product, whereas the Justice Department looks at structural issues. Is that right?
Well, here's where I hope you have other questions, because this is an area where it's a pending review, and we're going to do our work, but beyond that, I can't talk.
I do want to give you a flavor of the public's mood on this by asking the following: how can we make sure we don't get suckered by the AT&T intent to acquire T-Mobile, by AT&T offering a spurious carrot of helping with broadband deployment that AT&T already is doing to compete with Comcast and the Dish satellite TV network? Now, I know you're not going to answer that. Maybe we can have. Am I correct? You're not going to answer that. Can we figure out a way to have a conversation? One of the publicly stated tenets of AT&T's publicly stated tenets is that this is a way, by acquiring T-Mobile, AT&T can solve some of its own spectrum reallocation desires. So help me out here. Is there a non-rulemaking or congressional way to achieve spectrum reallocation, such as private market asset transfers?
So 2 points. One is one of the different. The FCC transaction review process is an open process. We seek public comment. We seek input. Of course, we'll do that here, and so there's going to be ample opportunity as part of the process that we run for the public, for any interested party to have input into our process. And we've been working hard at the FCC actually to open up our processes so that you don't have to hire a lawyer in Washington in order to express your view to us. We have channels for people to comment online. We've changed our rules so that online comments become an official part of the record, and I encourage anyone and everyone to participate in our proceedings. The second point that I make is that the spectrum crunch relates to the overall demand for spectrum capacity that we have from all consumers and businesses in the United States against the overall supply of spectrum. That gap exists and can only be closed by freeing up more spectrum to meet the demands on an aggregate basis. So nothing that happens in the marketplace changes the fundamental math of the spectrum gap and the fundamental solution, which is that to address the challenges of aggregate demand in the United States, we need to add to the aggregate supply of spectrum.
And of course, there's spectrum swapping happens all the time, right? It's allowed for licensees to swap spectrum with each other.
Subject to FCC review.
Subject to FCC review. So two companies do not need to merge to change around their spectrum in a sense necessarily.
I think that, but I'm not really sure you're asking.
A potential acquirer could get its hands on another company's spectrum in ways other than buying that company. They could do a transaction subject to FCC.
You're cooking something up, aren't you?
When is your organization going to take into account non-thermal impacts from microwave radiation? Nora Volkow, the National Institutes of Health, Journal of the American Medical Association. This is an issue that will affect industry. People are suffering, including friends of yours, from microwave radiation that is not. People are becoming very ill. Thousands of millions of people are becoming ill from carbon radiation. It is an issue that you need to take into consideration.
of the population is electromagnetically sensitive, and I'm one of them. I have no place to live because of your smart meter, and now there will be because of cell phones.
Process works here. Why don't you fill out a question card and give it to me, please? This is not the way it works here. It works that way in other venues, but not this one. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now,
Millions of people are getting
right
sick.
at the end. We were right at the end. You suggested that I was cooking something up. All right, we will move on to other subjects. Other questions from the
Yeah, don't
audience?
talk about that one. It's a little uncomfortable, huh?
Does the
We're
FCC
suffering from
work?
brain tumors. Cell phones cause brain tumors. Wake up!
I'll proceed with a question from the audience. Does the FCC work closely with the military?